Hello, welcome again to TWR webinar. To our French speakers, bienvenue de TWR v Afrique. I am Geoffrey Otieno from Transworld Radio Kenya, Audience Relations Department. In this video today, we shall be sharing of how Transworld Radio Kenya and CIFA FM stations are engaging with listeners during this corona period. Now, the corona pandemic has redefined almost every aspect of our lives, and broadcasting is not left out either. Our listener engagement has been redefined. For example, listener visits and letters. There is a huge social distance, if I could use that term, meaning they are not as active as they were before. The pandemic has brought us inside the bracket because whatever they are sharing, the needs that they have, they are facing, the challenge they are facing, we are also feeling it. So in other way, Corona has redefined how we are communicating back with our listeners. The other aspect of this Corona pandemic is it has also brought back our old listeners through the control measures like stay at home or work from home has made us to gain back our old listeners who maybe one reason or the other were not able to join with us because they did not get time to listen to our programs. Right now, Corona pandemic has created radio time. So there's radio time for our listeners and they cannot be able to listen. Some of them are now finding out Transworld or CIFA FM still broadcast some of these devotionals that they used to love. So the Corona pandemic has also created radio time for our listeners, bring back our listeners. We are getting so many requests asking, how can I tune in? Where is the link? How I can listen to this specific program? I used to listen it a long time ago. So that in a way, in a nutshell, the Corona pandemic has created radio time. The pandemic has created a thirst for the word. There are so many people looking for messages of hope. There's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety outside there, and people are looking for encouragement. So the pandemic has increased the thirst for the word of God. So it has also redefined in the manner in which we are communicating back with our listeners, because we know there's that thirst and we know there's that need for message of hope. It has been rejuvenated in our listeners. So we also have to rejuvenate our communication pattern. The pandemic has also strengthened our relationship with pastors and our listeners. Like in Kenya, the church was closed. So some of our pastors have found out that they could use radio through our FM network. They could use radio to broadcast messages or to share messages with their congregation. Like in Marsabit and Lamu have now opted to use our network to share devotionals with their congregation. Who knew that there will come a time when the church will be closed? Interesting scenario. As we continue, in a simple survey conducted within our pastors network and through the help of our FM station managers, we were able to realize some important things that could be helpful in our communications with our listeners. Number one, like in Kenya, we realized that around 80% of our pastors' network, they prefer using WhatsApp to communicate their devotional messages, if not radio. This is because WhatsApp is the most easily accessible online platform to use to send out broadcast messages. The other important thing that we noted that here in Kenya, since the pandemic started, there has been an increase in domestic violence, depression, and teen pregnancies due to the COVID control measures. And these very important issues have also formed the core basis of our production content. For example, our station in Lamu has partnered with the pastors and marriage counselors to help restore the marriages and address these domestic violence issues. As we continue to interact with the listeners at this time, without forgetting our mission of preaching the gospel and winning more souls for Christ, I would like to encourage each and every one of us that we should continue to do it differently and with love, not forgetting that we are that trusted voice. And as everyone is concentrating on reporting on the deaths and the new infections, you can be that new voice of hope by concentrating on the positive aspects of life despite the pandemic bringing a lot of negative things. Even as I wind up this video, I would like to leave you with words from our listener in Marsabit, who has found hope despite the challenges the pandemic has brought in his taxi business. And these are the words. Thank you for watching. Merci d'avoir regardé.